Mexico Highway 16 over the Sierra Madre Occidental took 25 years to complete, mostly because it was built by hand whenever anybody had any money to spend on it. Well, this is not the easiest way to get to Copper Canyon, but it is a marvelous trail of old Spanish-era villages that were built back before our Declaration of Independence was even signed. In over 300 miles from Hermosillo to Creo, the only motel I'd recommend is the Alma Rosa in Basasiachic in the state of Chihuahua. Well, the rooms are about $15. They're simple but clean, and you'll be glad to lay down for the night. Don't get away the next morning without sidetracking about 5 miles to see La Cascada Basasiachi, an 800-foot high waterfall. Creo, Chihuahua will be your second night because you'll want to get away for Batopilas only early in the morning. Batopilas is 90 miles away and just before you drop off the end of the earth. The first hint of where we're going is here, where we drop into Cañón de la Bufa, one of the canyons in the Sierra de Tarahumara system. We will spend the next hour switchbacking down into a canyon that is deeper than the Grand Canyon. It is not for the faint of heart. And farther down, we join Cañón de Batopilas, which is almost 1,000 feet deeper than the Grand Canyon. One of our Mexican guides is endlessly fascinated by all these canyons.
I like the huge of the nature. I like to lose my eyes in every corner of the Copper Canyon.
There are 5 major canyons in the Sierra de Tarahumara, all of them deeper than the Grand Canyon. The best known is here, the Copper Canyon. From the high rims, this is the one all the tourists see, and the tourists see Tarahumara Indians. They're probably the last indigenous culture in North America who still live as they always have, and they sell their wares at the train stations. It is only when you make the effort to drop down below the rims of these deep, deep canyons, down below 1,000-foot cliffs brooding in the mist of baking hot days, that you see the true homeland of the Tarahumara. They are painfully shy, running from cameras. And some of them live in small villages like here in Carrare, and others in caves. And most have no idea of civilization away from their canyon homes.
They don't know what television is, they don't know what Calvin Klein is, or they don't care if I'm using Nike tennis shoes. They don't care about what we care.
Almost 6,000 feet below the rim now, and we enter one of the most remote villages in North America, the silver mining town of Batopilas. Now the end of the road in a place where there aren't any roads. The hotels have no TV, no phones, no air conditioning, and the town electricity is turned off for 6 hours a day. A quaint old Mexican village, sleepy in the slow tick of time and stuck solidly in a backwater far away. Europeans first made their way into 6,000-foot deep Batopilas Canyon in the waning days of the 1500s. They discovered silver, and getting it out must have been a horrendous task because even today the silver mining town of Batopilas, which is still as remote a place in North America as you can find, is a scary 4-hour dirt road from the nearest town. The town itself, which conjures up as good a stereotypical image of old Mexico as you can get, was built in the late 1800s. There's only one windy main street, and the pace of life is unabashedly mañana. Mostly it is a town of memories of past riches. The ruin of Hacienda de San Miguel is a silent, poignant testimonial to those days. Built by an American, Alexander Shepard, it was a family residence and silver mill. It was a grand place, and Shepard was a benevolent man, turning much of his wealth back into the community. The silver played out, and only memories hide in long shadows of a fading day now.
Like we say in Mexico, this is where the wind turns around. There's nowhere else where to go.
Actually, the wind turns around about 4 miles on down the Batopilas River at one of the Sierra Madre's true enigmas. Some have called it the Lost Cathedral. This is the church at Satevo, and nobody can figure out why it was built. Best history says the Jesuits built the church here probably a century before our Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776. It's possibly the oldest church in northern Mexico. But who do they build it for? Batopilas has always had a church and has been the only population center anywhere near. The church is built out of brick instead of adobe. Was this a grand cathedral built on some sort of spiritual roll of the dice? If the old walls or the long dead souls buried in the floor of the church could only talk. This is the Mystery Church at Satevo. It rained hard overnight. Leaving Batopilas Canyon takes 6 hours today. We literally have to dig our way by hand through half a dozen mudslides. I want to know who forgot the shovel. Now this is truly an adventure into one of the most remote places in North America. So please come here prepared to take care of yourself. If you get in trouble here, there's going to be nobody to blame. You're not going to be able to sue anybody. Also, este viaje es para aquellos que hablan un mínimo de español. If you didn't understand what I just said, bring somebody with you who does.